All right, welcome. I don't know how we should start this. Welcome to
I'm not entirely sure. Yes, welcome to Notes from the Nook, a writerly chat. And we have no script, as you will no doubt notice very quickly. But welcome to our respective book nooks in our houses, and we're just here to chat. And we've got tea, and we're cozy, and that's all we're doing. And we're going to talk about writing. Isn't that right?
Yes, very exciting. I actually am not drinking tea right now. I have made myself for the first time, well, not for the first time, this is the second time I've made this, a little toasted coconut syrup. And so I made myself a
Ooh,
little espresso, like a little latte with my toasted coconut syrup in it, and it is delicious. I must
wow.
say. Fancy. This is
It's
fancy today.
so
I
fancy.
definitely need some pick me up, some extra sugar.
Fair enough. That is very fancy. I'm just drinking green tea. This,
Favorite kind of green tea, though.
mm, well, this one is a loose leaf sencha green tea.
Excited.
And I have it in like a big pot, and I've just got a nice
So
mug out of the
way at
big
it.
pot.
There's something so satisfying about having a big pot of tea and then working your way all the way down.
I know, I know. Maybe I should next time I'll bring the pot in and I can just refill as we chat. But for now, I've just got this mug of green tea and you've got your latte. And it's been a little while since we've been on YouTube.
It's been quite a while, so we should probably just get into it. Our big topic for today of our first episode of our podcast of why exactly we're doing this. Why are we back on YouTube after such a long break? Why now? What kind of inspired this? I'm really excited.
I am too. I am too. And I think it really boils down to the fact that both of us were looking for a way back in and finding it difficult because, well, for me anyway, I'll just speak for myself. Once I was very active, so maybe we backpedal a little bit.
Yeah,
Danica and I joined YouTube roughly the same time in 2020, the year that
yeah,
we will not speak of. But
forgotten year.
that just didn't, the many things happened, and this was one of the few good things that happened that year, is
Yeah.
that we both started our Authortube channels, and yeah, you were part of my OG writing community online, which I was very grateful for in the time
Quickly.
of panic.
It's true. It's true. You taught me about ecofactology and gave me some excellent book recommendations.
Did
And
you read any of?
I read is it Annihilation? Is that the right
Oh
name?
yeah, the Jeff Vandermeer.
Yes, yes, I did. And it scared me very much.
It is weird. I just reread it actually this year. I just reread it.
Uh-huh.
It is
Yep.
weirder on reread.
Yeah. It was very cool though. It was one of those books that is such a cool experience while you're reading it. Um,
Experience is a good word because it's like a fever dream.
it is. It's
Um,
but you're kind of you're so in it. Like he's so good at writing that it really sucks you all the way in. It was cool.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad I was able to give you a recommendation. So yes, yeah, I spoke a lot about ecofiction and you had your writing vlogs and things. And I posted super regularly for like 2 years, but I
Yeah.
realized I was not writing very much.
Yeah.
I was talking about writing a lot, but I was reading a lot, which was very important,
Mhm.
but I was not actually writing that much. And I realized it was the same creative energy to write as to produce the videos. And so I chose to write more. And I have written a lot since then.
Mhm.
But now I kind of want to bring it back, but I find that I'm not willing to give up the writing time. But I am very much willing to sit and have a cup of tea and a natter with my friend. So,
Yes. Yes, yes, because that kind of brings us back to because sort of the origin of this was we were having our own chat like a couple of weeks ago, and we both kind of expressed this desire to get back into YouTube, but also not having the time we used to have. And an idea for doing like kind of a chill writerly chat podcast kind of came up because we both really love the ones that are already on YouTube. Like one
Yes.
of our big inspirations is the dialogue, which is a great podcast. If you guys haven't seen it, we'll put a link to it somewhere.
Yes.
But it's so fun to like pop something on and just feel like you're sort of eavesdropping on a couple of friends who are chatting about writing. I really enjoy that type of content on Authortube in particular. So, and it's a little like lower stake, more achievable, it feels, than like the big edited content that I think we
Yeah, so
used
this is unedited, unscripted. You're getting Danica
authentic.
and Lovis unfiltered.
Yes. Authentic.
For better or worse.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. But okay, so my kind of journey back to it, yeah, when I got started, like at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021, I mean, obviously it was a whole different life back then. I had a way different amount of time available for things. And I was really doing much more edited content. Like I was doing like a lot of vlogs and then I was editing the heck out of my vlogs. I spent an ungodly amount of time on those vlogs, especially just considering the actual production value that resulted. The amount of time I put in is crazy. It was all off. It was all off. But I had a lot of fun with it. But I sort of started losing steam at the end of, I think, 2021. I think my last vlog on YouTube, like my last video, last time you've ever seen me, was, I believe, like a week one NaNoWriMo vlog for
Oh my
2021.
goodness, rest in peace.
Crazy. Cliffhanger. I did not win that NaNoWriMo. That's the answer to that question. I think I got like 30,000 words. I was working on Project Red, which is very strange because that's so many projects ago, which is something we'll get into eventually, I'm sure. Um, but basically, I started like at that point in my life, I was applying to grad school. So at exactly that
Yes.
I basically had to put everything on ice in order to, at the last minute, throw together studying for an exam that I had to take like a couple weeks later because it was like the last time slot I could do to get the results in time to apply and blah, blah, blah. So I just like dropped everything and did that and then got into writing all of the essays and stuff you have to for grad school, which was very taxing in its own way. And so skip a couple months, I hadn't written at all. And my life was changing dramatically because I was like, I had just gotten into school. I was picking schools and then I was leaving my job and moving to a new city and starting a new school. And so all these things added up to me not writing really at all. And then also kind of as a result and very related, not having time for YouTube, but also what was I going to talk about because I wasn't writing. So that was basically kind of like how YouTube stopped for me. Although I do feel bad, I just left everyone on that cliffhanger of NaNoWriMo for so long.
Yes,
But
I'm sure they're just sitting there biting their nails. Did she win it?
I'm sure everyone, that's what everyone else has been doing the last 4 years. I'm sure. But yeah, but I loved Authortube for the time that I was on it. And I have thought about it a lot over the years since. And after I got kind of more settled into school, I started writing again more. And I've done a bunch of writing since then. But I just haven't been able to be like, oh, I can sit down now and make YouTube videos again. It just felt like such a big, I don't know, such a big ice to break.
Yeah.
And especially knowing how much time I used to spend with it. So
Yeah.
that was where you found me a couple of weeks ago when were having our conversation. I was like, I'm writing regularly now. It feels like I really could involve myself back on Authortube, and I love Authortube. I'm a big consumer of Authortube. I
Yes.
have been lurking low these many years. I've been here the whole time. I just am like a really natural internet lurker, so I don't
You've got the
engage.
lurking down.
I'm such a lurker. So I don't naturally like comment a bunch or put myself out there, except when I was doing AuthorTube. I did a much better job of like really being a part of the community. So I was like, this is a good reminder to like get back in there, involve myself in the community, and have more of the, enjoy more of the writerly spirit, which I really loved back when I was on Authortube a lot. So that's my somewhat like the origin story for this.
Yeah, I mean I like the spirit of AuthorTube as well and BookTube, and I spend a lot of time on those two like niches of the
Yeah.
internet. Um and I enjoy it very much. And it is that kind of, when I think about, building a platform or a brand or something, and everyone says be on social media, and like a lot of my effort in my life is spent staying off of social media, but not off of YouTube. I love being on YouTube, but like Instagram and TikTok, I just, if I'm in it, I get swept away in it and I come out kind of befuddled and not really having a lot of brain cells to knock together. But YouTube is a
Yeah.
place that I really like,
Yeah.
and I have missed it since I've been away. But I'm looking for a new way of engaging with it. And also, what I would love is like channels like Meredith E. Phillips and Alyssa and the Books. They just have such a beautiful record of all of their projects and the progress and the process of writing those. And so that is also something that, if I wanted to spend time doing writing blogs, etc., that would be such a great record of the stuff that we're doing. And I thought these could also serve as those, like, don't know how often we're going to do this, maybe every couple weeks, maybe once a month. We're going to find our groove, but we're going to have lovely catch-ups, and that'll at least document our journeys as writers. So, um,
No, I completely agree. I love both of those folks as well. I watch all their videos religiously, and it's just so fun to see the arc of someone and to have kind of been through it with them as they're going through all their drafts and their projects and finding
and so
success.
invested. Like,
Yes, I'm so invested. I am so
so
invested.
invested when they query and they find their agents and stuff. I am so in.
Sweating.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I might be lurking, but I am invested. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's
exactly.
true.
Exactly.
I think that this can definitely be that for us. A nice little snapshots of where we're at each time we kind of sit down to record. And yeah, I think it would be lovely to do that this like at least once a month. Um, but yeah, we'll see if maybe we do a little more, a little less. We'll find out.
Yeah. We'll see
That's
how
a
people like it. So, if you're watching this and you think it's a great idea, comment down below. If you don't think it's a great idea, just keep that to yourself. You can keep lurking, it's fine.
lurk away. Lurk away. There's so much great content on YouTube. There's something else I'm
Yeah,
sure.
there's something for you, I promise. Um, yeah, well, I think that leads us nicely into talking about what we're writing. So if
Yeah.
you want to uh, pick up the thread of Project Red and
Oh God. Ah.
and to say what you're writing now, because it's not that.
Okay, yeah, maybe let's see. Since it's been so long, I'll give you like the high level of the how we got from there to here, and then what's kind of going on right now. So, okay, in NaNoWriMo, I did Project Red. I got 30,000 words in, I think, and I was like into Act Two. I was really doing stuff, and I had realized when I stopped that something felt off. And when I tried to start writing again, because I did try many times at the beginning of grad school and just like couldn't really latch on. And I realized I really had like structural issues. There were like serious, like bone level questions about the book that I literally could not answer. And I was like, this book is either not ready to be written or like or it's currently wrong.
It's just wrong.
Going to like this iteration does not work. It's something very fundamental has to change, and I don't have a strong sense of what that is. So maybe the idea is not fully percolated, perhaps. And I just need to set it down for a little bit. So I did. But as I am wont to do, this is my habit. This happens to be on everything. I got deeper into trying to figure out what's going on, and I came up with an idea for a story that happens right beforehand. And then I
Oh,
found the
the prequel.
prequel. Oh, I love a prequel. And if you will remember, Project Red is actually a prequel.
Yes, I do
It's not
remember.
it's not literally a prequel in the sense that it's a whole different set of characters, but it does happen 20 years before Project Order, which is a whole different. So it's not precisely a prequel, but it is like, oh, I'm digging into this part of the world that happens beforehand. This idea I came up with in like 22 was literally a prequel, and then like it's all the same characters, and it happens like 2 years before, and it would be a duology. So like in its finished form, this happens, then Project Red happens, and it's a complete story, just the two of them. And I called that prequel Project Maroon. And then I got deeply invested in Project Maroon. I spent a lot of time brainstorming, putting it together. I think actually in 23, I did a NaNoWriMo of it, my last NaNoWriMo ever. And I completed NaNoWriMo. I got 50,000 words and I did a full draft of Project Maroon.
Wow.
Um, and and this is something we can dive into at some point. I have to this day never read that draft.
You absolutely should. You absolutely should. It could be gold.
We'll put a pin in that. We'll put a pin in that. But I was overtaken as people maybe sometimes are after you write a draft that you know is like messy and gross in some ways. And I was just like, oh, I can't look at it.
Yeah.
I can't go
Yeah.
back to this. And so then I like had the ick a little bit, even though I haven't read it. So maybe it's fine. It's all in my head. But so in 24, I like kind of distanced myself from that book and had a hard time getting back into it. And then in the like very end of 24 or the beginning of 25, I started getting this new idea. Well, it's not actually that I started getting, it's I started allowing myself to deal with the new idea that I'm now working on right now. So this new book, which I'm deep in the weeds of at this point, is completely different. It's in a whole different world. So all of those prior projects are all in the same fantasy world and like have timeline relations to each other. This is a whole different world, whole different magic system. It is still high fantasy. So I'm still doing world building, but it really bears no relation. And it was a concept I have had for a very, very long time, but felt like I just was like, it's like I can't write this now. It's too hard kind of thing. But as I started, the idea kept like really getting into my brain. I couldn't let it go. And as I started actually working on the world building and the story, I realized it's actually a lot easier than all of the prior projects I've tried. There's like aspects of it, which we can maybe talk about in later episodes, that make it much easier to write. And so I've had a lot of progress. So I brainstormed a ton. I started writing it in fall of last year, and then I immediately had to stop because I had to do an apartment search, and that just took up my whole life and all my stress. So I put it on ice. And then in end of January, after I'd moved into my new apartment, I started writing again. I did like 1,000 words a day challenge for like pretty much all February. And I got like 35K words, basically all the way through Act One, which is very long. We could talk about that later too. And then where I'm at right now is I paused drafting and I realized there's a big mystery element to the story, which is very different from anything I've ever written before. And I had done enough brainstorming in Act One to realize I had a lot of clay to deal with. And now I need to go back to the drawing board and like change some things about the mystery and also just literally plot more clues and more like of the checkpoints of the mystery. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's what I've been working on. I've been going back and forth between brainstorming and putting things together for the clues and writing some scenes that as I discover things, I'm like, oh, I know this scene has to happen. So I've just been kind of allowing myself to rotate between planning and writing. Because I find if I'm too focused on one or the other, I get stuck. So sorry, that was long, but that's my update.
But that's actually the origin of this podcast is that we both discovered that we're both writing fantasy mysteries and we're both finding it incredibly difficult.
Hard. Oh my gosh, it's hard.
It's so hard. And we were reading, so book recommendation alert. We were reading The Tainted Cup by Robert
Yeah,
Jackson Bennett.
very
And
good.
I saw it on your Goodreads and I was like, "Ooh, I've just started reading that." And I realized I was like, there are more clues in like one chapter of this book than in my entire novel. So I was like, okay, I think this is a different this is in a different league to my mystery abilities. And we started talking about that, and we thought that it was crazy that we had both been writing and not really talking about it very much. So, yeah, that was another little step down the road towards uh, Notes from the Nook.
Yes. Like we need to commiserate on this, and also
Yeah.
maybe we can help each other figure it out. So I expect that that will be big portions of future episodes as well.
Yeah, I think so too. And like, as we discover craft tips or as we figure things out or as we just come to terms with the fact that okay, maybe our mysteries are not going to be so twisty turny. But
Yeah, that honestly could be a great topic for a future episode because have had a lot of genre crises of like, what genre am I
what
writing?
am I writing?
Am I? Who am I? So we'll put that in a pin for a later
I know
episode.
we should be making notes as we do this because that should come up in a later episode, has been said multiple times now.
I'll go scrape it afterwards.
Yeah, good thing we're recording this.
We have it all jotted down. So what about you? How's
Um,
writing going for you, or has since you?
yeah. Oh God, I don't even remember what I was working on while. Oh God, I think I started so many projects on YouTube and I finished a few. And there was, I think I did a few nano and camp nano vlogs where I like finished my book. And I'm not sure if I documented the discovery that that book was deeply problematic and needed to be shelved. I think I just discovered some unconscious biases in there that I am not a fan of, and that I then went on a whole journey to educate myself better about so that I never wrote them again. Um, and that was quite an enlightening experience, and I don't know if anybody else has this sometimes where you write something and you're like, hello? Where did where did I don't believe that. Why have I put that in there? Like, I think my mom read my first chapter. She was like, "Oh, you've got some very clear gender roles in here." And I was like, "Do I?" I didn't even notice. And I was like, "Well, that has to go immediately. This is what am I doing? This is something that I don't condone in real life. Why have I put it into my fantasy world?" Which, you know, put a little pin here that that's something we could talk about too. Making the fantasy world not have to reflect the issues that we like. I have to deal with enough of these issues in the real world. Why do I need them in my fantasy world as well? And in my own that I'm writing. What am I doing?
Yeah,
So
no,
anyway,
I think that, and we should talk about that in a later episode because I think that's a universal experience for writers. If you write long enough and you are like reasonably self-aware, at some point you're going to sit down and read what you've written and be like, what on earth? Just like not align with my values. This is not the type of person I want to be, or like I really see a bias here that I didn't think I had, you know? I think that happens to everyone. I think that'd be
yeah.
fun to talk about. So, another pin.
Put another pin. Yeah, because I think that was one of the first ones that one of the first books that I had finished. And that was my copycat book. You know, when your first few books are you're just copying what you've read. And I think
Yes.
those some of the things I had were very strong in the books that I had consumed up to that point. Um, and now I have broadened my horizons. Thank you. So anyway, I shelved that one and I started working on other projects, multiple other projects, but the ones that are prevalent right now is that I'm in, I don't know, draft 6 of my nerdy urban fantasy, cozy urban fantasy. And it's set in the city that I live in Scotland. And it incorporates my real life job of being a population dynamics ecological modeler, which just is just a fancy way of saying that I build computer software to try and mimic how things move in the environment and how they respond to their environment, how they reproduce, why they die, where they go, what happens, and how we as humans interact with that environment as well. And so I've put that in the book That's my main character, and she solves crime. Fantasy crime. Mythical
No,
creature crime.
somehow I didn't fully connect to the fact that we are both writing extremely nerdy books right
It's
now.
so it's so nerdy. Maybe this is nerdy notes from the Nook.
I literally had that thought. I was like, it should be writer's nerdy notes from the book.
Writer's nerdy notes from the Nook.
Were joking before recording about like how insanely long and crazy this like title could get because there's so many things you could add to it. But I think nerdy writer's nerdy notes from the Nook is maybe accurate. But
Yeah.
yeah, I should say just to like echo that is my story is also sort of based on my kind of professional background. So I have an accounting background, accounting and finance, and for a short, medium period of my career, I was doing something called forensic accounting, which is when some sort of crime, or if there's just some sort of dispute of like two people disagree on what happened with the money, they'll hire a team of forensic accountants who go in and literally just figure it out. Where did the money go? And in a lot of almost every crime has a forensic accounting aspect to it because money can always be helpful. Even if it's like a kidnapping or something you'd think is like not super related to money, like where they swiped their card and where they went, like can help you pin locations, all that sorts of stuff. So forensic accounting is very related to all types of crime. But when I was doing it, I was mostly doing like white collar crime. So like people with money stealing from other people with money, largely. Um,
In a nutshell.
in a nutshell. And so the book that I'm writing right now, I have termed to myself my forensic accounting fantasy novel.
Yes.
And the whole idea was like, is it possible, and this is something I've toyed with for a long time, like, is it possible to take what is generally considered quite boring, which is forensic, like accounting, and put it in a high fantasy setting and translate money into magic in a particular way? Because I didn't just want it to
Oh,
be money in fantasy, because there's also money in fantasy. So it's magic that is an allegory for the money in a high fantasy setting, and then do a bunch of like fraud stuff. And so that's what this is. It's a book about sort of a famous financial fraud. This particular book is based on the Ponzi scheme of Bernie Madoff, set in a high fantasy world, and like a young forensic mage who's investigating it.
I
So very
I've
similar.
been I've been waiting for years for you to write this book. I'm so excited. I am I'm
I will
so
say, I
excited.
would always think about you because when I told you about this years and years and years ago, you were like, "Wait, I want to read that." Like
I was like,
I
you need to write that. Please, for me.
enabled me, and I do actually think we had a chat around August of last year, and I think that was part of what helped me to just get going on it. So I think you are
Really?
the origin story of the
Oh,
story.
I'm so chuffed about that. I'm so pleased. Well, I'm very happy that you're writing it now because this feels something, another pin for a future episode. This both of our projects feel very much like things that not just anyone could write. You like not to sound immodest or anything, but they're things that we are passionate about, nerdy about, and like experienced in. And so I think that puts a particular flavor into the writing. And I think my favorite piece of writing advice I've ever heard was from Patrick Rothfuss, who wrote The Name of the Wind. And his advice was write what you nerd out about because you are excited about it. You can put very granular detail into the writing, and that will make the reader excited about it. And that comes across. The kind of excitement and passion and enthusiasm comes across. And so these, and that is why I'm in draft six, because I cannot let this book die without making it as good as I can make it, because I feel like I can do something special with it. Even if it's, even if it goes nowhere, I want to make it as good as I think it can be. Um, because I just feel like we can give like a particular flavor to these stories because we find it cool.
Yeah,
Like,
it's the Venn diagram of all the things you're interested in, and everybody has a unique one, And
yeah.
finding the thing right there in the center is like a very cool, fresh, creative, unique, fun thing. That everybody has their own, you know?
Yeah,
I love it.
exactly. So I'm very excited that you're writing your forensic accounting fantasy book.
But okay, so where are you right now in your urban fantasy journey? What's writing happening for you right now?
I'm currently, well, technically I'm in a revision pass. I'm in a revision to create draft six. However, comma, it's quite a major revision because I did an overhaul of the book, and a new outline. I had a developmental editor read over it and give me feedback. I had beta reader feedback, and basically we can do a whole episode about taking or not taking feedback and what it does and how much of a spiral it can send you into, because that's where I spent a lot of this year already. Um, but I think like find something wooden and knock on it. But thank you. Um, I think I've got it now, but it does require like probably half the book is new. And so it's a lot of first draft mixed with sixth draft. And so it's a very disjointed kind of thing right now, but I feel good about it. I think it's in the best place that it has been since I started writing it in 2021. Two, because when we met in Scotland, I was that was the first draft of it, and I was still writing by hand in a notebook, the whole book.
Gosh, it's crazy how time passes.
I know, crazy, and I'm still writing the same bloody book.
And this is another pin that we have talked about discussing is you and I have taken different approaches away. Like you have had such perseverance on your story of like keeping at it and making it better and making it stronger and going through all your drafts. And I have, for better or for worse, and that would be interesting to discuss, jumped from many different projects and like gotten like a draft in and then moved on to the next one. So we should talk about that sometime too.
Okay, we need to make some notes while we listen back through this. This is like a season trailer.
Yeah.
Once we've covered all the questions that we raised in this episode, that's the first season.
This is a good question. Of all of the things we've dropped down it to like pin for future episodes, what are you most excited to hear about? Because maybe if if you guys have a preference, we can move the order around and get to things
Yeah,
fast.
yeah. Leave a comment
Chrissy,
down below.
yeah, if you've got like an idea, if it spawns a question or something for a topic for an episode.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other major thing that I'm working on is a collection of short stories, which came out of a science and storytelling workshop that I ran last year with some kids here in I was about to say in the Shire, which I know sounds very strange to people outside of Britain because
Whimsy.
it is I even yes, it does sound whimsical, but it is just like the countryside around in your county is called the Shire. It's in the Shire. And so I'm in Aberdeenshire. And so I did this workshop last year with kids. It was a pond dipping workshop, so we taught them about the creatures they might find in the pond, and they went and did pond dipping, and they found some, and it was really cool. And they wrote their own stories, and now I'm kind of inspired by those, and I've written short stories, like expanded them into short stories. I have an illustrator. She's absolutely wonderful, and she's illustrating it, and I'm putting it together. And that one I will self-publish. The urban fantasy I'm hoping to query. So that's a whole mountain I haven't climbed yet. But the short story collection I'm hoping to self-publish, and I've got many more of them to write because I did more workshops. So I really need to finish this bloody revision so that I can get back to things that other people are waiting on.
Do the kids know that you are writing for them and are they like waiting on their story?
I think they probably have completely forgotten that they ever did it.
Okay.
But they knew it on the day. I said it on the day, and I have emailed the parents, but they haven't responded to me. So question mark about whether they care. But that's fine. I mean, they will be credited the names. the not obviously not the full names, but the first names will be in the book to thank them. And if they want a copy, I will obviously send them a copy. And yeah, so they knew on the day that this was what was going to happen. I have their permission, but we'll see. And I've been friends with kids are have been reading them and giving me feedback on them so that I have like a child's perspective on a child's story, which has been invaluable. So I can slip that into the episode about beta reader feedback, the feedback you get when your beta reader is 8 years old.
Are these written to be targeted towards that age group, like 7, 8 years old?
Yeah, 8 to 10, which I know like a lot happens between the ages of 8 and 10 in terms of reading comprehension and attention span and what you're looking for in a story. But like there were a range of ages in the workshop, so that's something that has been interesting. But I'm figuring out where to hit the mark. But those are, yeah, so broadly speaking, those are my two major projects, and then I've got some in the wings.
How much longer do you think you have on this editing pass before you get back into the short stories? Or is that like impossible to know?
Well, I was hoping the end of June, but considering my pace, or rather considering how long this book is going to be, my God, my spreadsheets, because of course I have spreadsheets, are telling me it's going to be 145,000 words for a mystery novel. What am I doing? But I don't seem to be able to write short. Yeah, it's 2 books. It's 2 full-length novels. Unreal. I've written since the end of April. I've written about 70,000 words, which is it's an entire book. Yes,
Also,
written
that's
slash edited.
like you are really doing a great job cranking it out. Like that's a lot of words to get through in that amount of time.
Yeah, I just and I'm quite happy with that. If only I was further along in the book.
This is also something we can pin because this happens to
Oh,
time. I think, at the 20,000 word mark, I'm going to be here. I get to 20,000 words, I'm nowhere close to there. What's happened? What's occurred?
yeah, the inciting incident.
Terrifying. I guess, does that mean we're both overwriters? Is that what that means?
Oh, 100%. Either that or we put too many plot lines in. I think it's probably a mixture of both because I dictate and therefore I ramble, I think. So that's part of my problem, but also I probably add more steps to making the same conclusion than I need to. So this is what we can talk about in the mystery episode. But like I don't know. I need to be more succinct, have fewer subplots, and ramble. No, that's more being more succinct. What was my third one? I have fewer steps. Yeah.
That was very meta. It was like, I have 3 things. Actually, I only need 2.
I only have 2 things. Then what was the third? There's the third thing.
It's so relatable.
Thanks. Well, this is what we want the podcast to be, is to be relatable while we wade our way through the murky waters of writing.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Hopefully you see something in us that you relate to, whether it's the struggles or the successes. That's something that appeals to me so much about documenting on YouTube is that you get all of it. You get the challenges and the things that are hard and you get like the wins and when you're able to have a
Yeah.
breakthrough something and all
Yeah.
of that. I'm very excited to plot that for the
Yeah.
both of us through this podcast.
Yes. And I think we might wrap it up a little bit for this episode. And so I think it's nice to give ourselves a little pat on the back or a little pep talk as we go into the next couple weeks before we chat again. So what is either a writing win or just something kind that you've done for yourself as a writer this week? Which is totally absolutely stolen from Rachel Herron's podcast, Ink in Your Veins, which is my favorite one of my favorite writing podcasts. So absolutely go listen to it. But yes, those
Thank you.
questions to you.
Okay, that's such a good question. I love this. I'm trying to think what the best answer is. Okay, so lately I have been trying to create more like momentum in my writing by running around to like meetups in my city and trying to go right alongside other writers. And I have found that to be very, very helpful. And it's so
Oh,
fun.
good.
There's more than you think. Like you start on meetup.com, you're looking for something, and then you end up on all these other little websites and, all these random coffee shops. And I went to a tea bar about a week ago, which I didn't even know was a thing, but they're open late and they have a crazy amount of cool teas. And it was like a writing get together where we did like a little exercise, then we wrote for like an hour and a half. It was incredible, incredible. So, getting myself out of my shell, looking up places, going there, meeting folks, chatting with people, writing alongside people, especially like trying to put myself out there more in the writing community. That's something I've been very intentional about trying to start doing more of in the last like 2 or 3 weeks and like have successfully achieved in terms of going to many different types of meetups and stuff. And honestly, I think this is a big part of that too, of starting this podcast with you, having more scheduled time to sit down with writer friends and chat, and to engage more in the Authortube community, which does mean so much to me. But because I'm a natural lurker, I just don't engage as much. And so I don't get like the community vibe that I think I really want. And I think that's probably the kind thing that I'm doing for myself, the helpful thing of like very intentionally trying to build my community more and put myself out there more and not just write alone in silence because it gets kind of lonely if you're just doing your own thing in a silo. So I think that's my thing.
That's an excellent thing. And I remember you mentioning this a couple of weeks ago that you were going to do it. And I'm so
Yes,
proud of you that you have done it because you like were a little you were a little anxious about it. You were a little anxious camper about it, weren't you?
I have a little social anxiety. But as soon as I get over it, I'm like, wow, what was I worried about? But every
Yeah, but
time,
it's totally valid. It is totally valid. And a lot of writers are introverted. So like it's not a small thing for somebody to and a lot of writing is very personal. So it's not a small thing for you to seek out other writers and like share that bit of yourself. So well done for that.
I appreciate it. What about you?
Yeah, I asked the question and absolutely did not prepare an answer.
Man, what has happened?
What
What
has
have I been?
happened? Kind thing have I mean, so or a win. I guess I can do a win. I am currently if people picture like the beats of a story, if, like you halfway is your midpoint and then apparently there's a pinch point at around 65%, which that was something new I learned this year. I did not have pinch points in my outline before and it caused me no end of trouble. Um, but now I am writing that second pinch point. And so that means I am slowly but surely making my way through Act 3. And I'm quite proud of that. So I am ticking the chapters off. And every morning I the first thing I do is write. Really, I write before work. And I'm proud that I still do that pretty much every morning. And if I'm walking to the office, then I dictate on the way to the office. So I think I'm proud that I've been kind of finding pockets of time in my day, even if it's a 10-minute walk to the shops. I can dictate for 10 minutes, and then that's something for me to, that's a little bit more. It's a couple paragraphs, and that does add up to a chapter. Um, So, yeah, I think finding pockets of time is probably my win.
I think that's something I admire so much about you. Like you've done such an amazing job of like creating a routine that works really well for yourself and then just like lowering the barriers to writing so that you can take advantage of these like, moments when you have a little bit of time to write a little bit more. You've done such an amazing job of that. So, I hope it rubs off on me.
Well, yeah, I think maybe your ventures into extroversion and my discovery of pockets of time, maybe we can exchange.
Somehow, we'll come together for a completed whole.
Exactly, exactly. Well, that brings us to the end of our very first episode of Notes from the Nook, a writerly chat, or Nerdy Notes from the Nook, to be confirmed, whatever the actual title is that we land on. Um, I've enjoyed it. Say that again, sorry.
Sorry, some sort of note from a Nook.
Some sort of note from a Nook. Yeah, exactly. And we will see you in a few weeks.
We will. Thank you so much for watching, for making it all the way here. Leave us a little thought below on something you would like for us to chat about next. And hope that your writing is going great in your own Nook.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.